Darrell, thank you for joining me at
My
PCA
pleasure.
2023.
My pleasure. It's good to see you again.
You are no stranger to the tobacco industry. How long have you been doing this?
This is my 21st trade show.
21st trade show.
21st.
But this is, of D.A.M. Fine Cigars, this is the first year?
I came last year just to let people know I was still going to be in the business. I wasn't quite official yet, but
So the doors weren't open yet?
I didn't place any orders last year.
Got it.
Yeah. Doors have been open 2.5 months now.
Wow.
Yeah. From a business standpoint, I probably shouldn't be here. You're not quite ready to re-up yet with everybody, but business has started off good. You know, first 2.5 months has been really good, very encouraging.
So even though you're not ready to reorder, what does it mean to come here then and have face-to-face interactions?
It's just about building, it's keeping the relationships going that I've made over the last 21 years. And I am ordering, you know, trying to find some new things. I've taken requests from the local market and trying to fine-tune the humidor. My first bite of the apple was with the people that I've really known for years and years. So, but then there's always one-offs here and there that, you know, the local people want to have. It's a little different in Pooler, Georgia than Charlotte, North Carolina. So, you know, we're figuring it out as I go.
How long did you manage the North Carolina store? Because you went to North Carolina to try to see if you could get into the cigar retail business, right?
That's right. Let's see, I was general manager for a little over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've probably seen a ton of stuff, all the way from like the cigar boom all the way to now.
Yep. I've seen a lot.
So from quality to not quality to, you know, trends.
Exactly.
What's
Cigars
the biggest thing that's
bigger.
Yeah, what's the biggest thing that's changed? Or like what's the most significant thing that you've seen?
Oh gosh. Well, you know, obviously price points are ticking up pretty fast, but people aren't stopping to buy. You know, it's getting easier and easier to sell a $20 cigar.
Really?
Yeah.
And what do you think drives that?
You know, I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but, you know, the quality is second to none. I mean, the quality has literally gotten better every year. You know, it has to. If a company doesn't keep the quality up, you're going to go to the next brand.
Right.
So they're really motivated to keep that going and just keep elevating the cigars.
When you decided to open up the store in Georgia, what was the biggest obstacle that you had just to get the doors open?
Just to get the doors open. I signed the lease, and the building wasn't finished yet. It's a strip center, and I still had dirt floors. It took months and months and months just to get the concrete. Where we're at, they're building warehouses everywhere in the general area.
Yeah.
So the concrete was in short supply, and that one little thing kept pushing everything else back.
Wow. Yeah, you can't do anything for interior if you don't have your floor.
If you don't have a floor.
So what did you do? How did you pivot?
Well, I just sat there and waited, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you stay up on top of it, calling them, seeing when the concrete could come?
Always, but you never really get an answer.
Yeah, but at least you stayed on top of it, right? And like kept pushing.
Exactly. You tried.
That's good.
You know, I had one of my best friends, my contractor, but he couldn't have the building until they turned it over to me. So you know, but that was the biggest thing. I was very naive about how long the process would take. That's the only thing I didn't have a grasp on.
So plan for longer.
Whatever you think it's going to take, double it at least.
Double it.
Double it. Yeah, for sure.
That's good advice, though. And then as you look at that financially, did you have the coverage financially that you needed so you weren't stressed about getting open and bringing in some money?
Yeah, that wasn't the problem. You know, I've been saving up a little bit here and there for 25 years. So that's always been the end game. Have my own place.
Good.
So, you know, I wasn't too strapped. I've got a very, really good support system. Family, friends. I've got a great wife that has encouraged me from day one. So, yeah.
Well, and let's talk about that because one of my questions is, as you've started this entrepreneurial endeavor, who's been your #1 supporter? And it's literally built into the name of your shop.
It is. It's a tough story to tell without getting emotional. But,
that's okay.
So, like I said, 25 years it's been rolling around up in here, and I could have named it Darrel Cigars. Right. You know, it really, I don't know if it matters what's over the door. It matters what's inside the shop and who's inside the shop. That's what really matters.
Right.
But there's 3 people. That is an acronym for 3 people who never let me give up on my dream. My wife Debbie, my buddy Andy, and my other buddy Mike. So
That's
I
awesome.
did it. I did it as an ode to them, kind of, for always being there for me.
That's amazing,
Yeah.
man. When you said you had a great support system, it
Mhm.
shows.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then in the
Yeah.
name,
Mm-hmm.
in and of itself. I mean,
It means something. It's pretty catchy too. You know, damn fine
Yeah.
this, damn fine that, damn fine cigars.
yeah, damn fine cigar.
So you know, it's catchy. It worked, but
It really
you know,
means something.
yeah. And being the first time buying for myself here, man, it is so encouraging because there are so many people on this trade show floor with their names on bands that there's no way they're going to let me fail. I mean,
Right.
it's been so encouraging. You know?
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah. I mean, I won't name all the names, but because I'll forget somebody, but I haven't been told no yet. You know,
That is so
somebody
good.
gave me some great advice. They said, if anybody does, you remind them that you haven't told them no for 20 years. Why should they tell you no?
Ha
I'll use it if I need to,
There
but
you
so
go.
far it hasn't been a problem.
Now, I bet you manufacturers love new opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and it's somewhat of an not untapped market. There's cigar places where I'm at, but I think the community was really starved for something really special, and the store turned out beautiful. My guy Brad, he has the eye for interior, and he's just, I mean, it was his pet project. He's my #1 customer already, so
Nice.
in the next year I'll get all my money back that I invested in the build out. So
Right.
yeah, but it's a beautiful store, very high end, and it's everybody has been just so wonderful.
What does it mean to bring in something high end to an area that possibly doesn't have it? What are you looking for as a retailer? What are you trying to build as far as that environment?
Well, if I'm bringing in a $30, $40, $50 cigar, it's not just because it's a pretty cigar. It's something that's going to come from a company that is supporting me, and I'm going to support them, and I'm going to sell whatever they offer me. And frankly, having a $40, $50 cigar on the shelf makes it way easier to sell a $12 to $15 one.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you're strategically putting the high bar
That's right.
up there. But then how does that relate to how your design of your shop is? Is that what you're kind of getting to, is
Yeah.
you're going to carry high-end stuff?
Well, I'd say the entry level in my store is probably $7, $8.
Right.
You might have to look around to find them.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to hit you in the face when you walk in the door.
Right.
But yeah, it's just, I put lighted shelves. I got LED lights under every shelf. I built it old school, 100% Spanish cedar. It's much more efficient. I'm much more expensive to do that.
Right.
But, you know, that's one of my taglines. You know, the area is only 100% Vulcan, Spanish cedar, humidor. I want to have first-class cigars because I want the store to be first class. I built it to look first class. So it's been rolling around in my head for 25 years. If it's not first class, it's my own problem. It's my own fault. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds too like, with obviously the 20 years of experience that you have in retail,
Mm-hmm.
you're already positioning your retail experience to be the best, not only for you,
That's right.
but also for your customer. Because kind of what I heard with that, like, more budget-friendly cigar at $7, you're not going to place that right in prime location.
That's right.
That's very important, though. I mean, some people don't think about that, but how you organize your shelves will matter.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and so what do you look at if you got a SKU that's not selling? Will you move it in the humidor? Put it in a spot?
It's funny you said that. When you set up a humidor, it's like a giant puzzle.
Yeah.
And then at some point, it gets full, or you think it's full. There's creative ways to put more and more in there, but so now that my humidor is somewhat full, one new box comes in, I might have to rearrange 10 or 15 boxes to make room for that one box. Well, I could have a cigar, it could be a $15 cigar. It's been right here in the middle, and it hasn't sold. All of a sudden, I move it over here 30 feet, it starts selling.
What is up with that?
People get used to going, you know, they find their cigar, and I've got a lot of repeat customers already. They get used to coming in, making a left, go, you know, right here, grab my cigar, and pull them out the door. Next You move things around, they go, make a left, turn around, grab it. Where's my cigar? Well, it's way over here. Oh, well, is this one new? Like, no, it's been here for a minute, but yeah, you should try that. Like, okay, well, they grab something else there.
So how often do you do that? Do you purposefully also move stuff around so that you get that?
I do.
How often are you doing
I
that?
would say, well, I've only been open 2.5 months, but the plan is to at least once a month.
Once a month, move some stuff
Move
around.
at least 10% of the humidor around once a month. 10%.
That is great advice. Just to get the customer kind of not necessarily on their heels like they're shocked, but just kind of like, oh, this.
Yeah, just
this
put a little
isn't the same.
roadblock.
Yeah.
Just to slow them down just a little bit.
That's a good way of putting it.
Bump.
You're giving a little speed bumps, little hints that you should try something new.
That's right.
And why is that so important to retail?
It's important to get people to try new things because once a customer gets locked in on one brand and they start buying a box of that one brand, as good as I am, as good as my store looks, it's hard to compete with internet. You can't compete with the price of internet. So once somebody gets locked in on one exact cigar, it's only a matter of time before they hit a few buttons on their keyboard and realize they can get it delivered to their door a little bit cheaper. So that's why we have to wow them with our customer service and our beautiful stores. People ask me all the time, well, can I pick one up? Can I touch it? I'm like, that's why we're here.
Right.
I want you to touch that cigar. I want you to look at the box. I want you to feel it. And, it's part of it's the sizzle with the steak.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, I love it. So you kind of touched on something I've never thought about. As soon as they start smoking box level, like they're going to buy a whole box. Do you feel like you could lose them quicker?
Definitely.
And it sounds like that through what you were saying.
Definitely.
So you're constantly trying to put things in that allows them to try new cigars.
That's
and you'd actually prefer not big buys.
That's right.
It sounds counter sales.
Yeah, I will do a discount if you buy a box, but I would also do a discount if you make up your own box. You know, let's put together 10, 20 things, and I'll give you the same discount.
Yeah, you'll still get the discounts.
But you know,
do all shops do that?
I don't know.
That's surprising because I did it. It was always 20 sticks. Get to 20 sticks, you get the box discount. But I did like that, especially for new people, is because they could try a bunch of different things.
That's right. Get one or two of what you know, and then one or two of what you don't know, and just keep it going. You know?
So when you do events with reps, do you focus on box buying events, or do you focus more on sampler? Like, what's the customer getting when?
In my previous life in North Carolina, it was a lot of boxes. I haven't started doing events yet. I'm going to build a deck on the side. There's no smoking in our county indoors, so that's another hurdle. That's one reason why there hasn't been any really big upscale tobacco stores. I think because you can't smoke indoors.
So you should have started the whole interview with that. You decided to open up a premium lounge in an area that you can't smoke inside.
Premium cigar store.
Sorry, premium cigar store.
I purposely rented an end cap with a grassy area and had it put in my lease that I could build a deck on the side of the store. So there will be a place on property. It's just not indoors.
How cold does it get in Georgia though? Is there like a temperature where people start not smoking outside? It's kind of always hot.
Yeah, well, it's more doable in the wintertime than in August.
Okay.
So, yeah, a couple of months during the summer is probably the only time it won't get much use. But 10 months out of the year, it'll be just fine.
That's great.
It'll be just fine, yep.
That's great. So are you going to try to fight the indoor smoking, or are you just going to say, forget it, and I'm going to build outdoors?
No comment on that one.
Why not?
I would rather...
We're all PCA members.
I would rather fight the tobacco tax in Georgia than indoor smoking.
Thank you. That's great.
We have to have a cap on the 23% wholesale.
So that, to me, it's not that you wouldn't fight the indoor smoking ban.
It's not priority number one.
But it's not priority.
Not even close.
Everyone should know that. I mean, put your priorities where you want them, and don't spend your energy on stuff that you know that is not that big of a deal.
That's why internet is we can't fight internet. I mean, we can't compete with internet with with 23% tobacco tax with no cap. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
Lower in South Carolina, lower in Florida, the bordering states. No tobacco tax in Florida, I think, but 23% is absurd.
Right.
The price of the cigar gets higher and higher. You know, it's more of a big deal the higher the price of the cigar. $7 cigar, 23%, no big deal. $20 cost cigar, 23%. That's getting to be a real number.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
It hits the shelf. I mean, when I did retail in Minnesota, it got up to 95% wholesale. You just might as well double it without even marking it up.
Exactly, and the state is losing out because people are still going to buy their cigars. They're just not going to buy in the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for you then, supporting the PCA and what like maybe CRA does, is that all stuff that you want to make sure you bring to your shop?
100%. 100%.
How are you getting your customers involved then in those legislative and, you know, like all that stuff is so boring to me because it's stuff that's usually over my head. I don't.
It's over
really
my head as well, but I've talked to Glenn Loop, and he's a big advocate, obviously, for the states' rights, and so hopefully I'll be getting to work with him a little bit. Todd Johnson from North Carolina has given me some good advice. But
are you going to get your customers involved now? Because that's where it really takes the customers to start sending the letters to the representative.
Yeah, I will 100% be involved in that. We always were in Charlotte, Tinderbox. So, you know, I've learned a lot from Craig Cass over the years. You know,
Great.
Oh yeah. The senator was involved heavily, not just in his business, in the whole business.
Right. You got to tell me about, I mean, with 20 some odd years of experience in retail, you got to tell me about at least one memorable interaction with a customer that affirmed your decision to become a tobacconist.
It's not just one, it's the overall. When I started getting the desire to be in the tobacco business, it was before, when I still lived in Georgia, and I started hanging out at some tobacco stores and cigar stores, and I met a couple of owners. I see their interaction with consumers, and everybody walks in, they're happy.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to walk into a cigar store. You want to walk into a cigar store. Cigars are about celebration, a little taste of the good life. I might not have a Maserati parked in my driveway, but I light up a $20 cigar, $10 cigar. I feel like king for an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm somebody when I'm smoking that fine cigar. So, and that's everybody's outlook. In a cigar store, I used to always tell my staff, you've got to work hard to piss somebody off. I mean, you've got to really double down on your negativity if you're going to piss somebody off that walks into our stores.
Right.
It's not rocket science, as someone here says, but it's just a little taste of the good life, you know.
And that is what inspires you to keep being inspired.
The conversations I have on a daily basis with different customers. I mean, I tell my buddies I'm kind of like a part tobacconist, part therapist. You know, people you don't really even know very well, they'll unleash on you and tell you their problems now because it's a sigh of relief when they walk in my store.
Right.
You know, so it's like, okay, lay down on the couch and let's cut a cigar, you know.
I just thought of, as you start on this new journey of opening up your own store, you should take the time every day to journal like one thing from that day.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then you can go back and look on it over the year.
Yeah.
And see just like how many cool things you did, or interactions, or just weird stuff that might have happened.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'll do that.
Yeah. So the persona, like I can walk into most shops and I could be like, okay, the persona here is rugged, or the persona here is high end, high class. That's pretty easy to tell. But what I love is when a shop puts their persona matched with somebody famous. So if I walk into D.A.M Fine Cigars, who am I going to be greeted by? Who's like the face of D.A.M Fine Cigars?
Oh, that's easy. That's my French Bulldog Roman.
But I mean on a famous side.
Oh.
on a famous side, like, okay, I'm walking in and I'm gonna meet, like, you know, is it Matthew McConaughey or is it The Rock?
Well, you know, obviously I'm a spitting image of Bruce Willis, so that would be
Bruce Willis?
yeah.
Nice.
Not really.
You got a little karate thing going on in there?
No. I don't know. That's an interesting question. I would have to get back to you on that one.
Okay, give me a vibe. Is there like a setting that I can relate to that would put that image of Damn Fine Cigars in my head?
All I can say is, you walk in my store, you're gonna see my gratitude immediately. Welcome. Thank you so much. I'm thanking them profusely before they ever take their wallet out or step foot in the humidor. You know, just showing my gratitude and my appreciation because I know how blessed I am to come up in this industry. So
Right.
I'm thankful to every single person who walks in my door. People call me, hey, I'm running a little late. I'm not closed until the last guy is served. Man. So if
I
you
love
see,
it.
I'm not closed until you see my tail lights fade in the distance. That's when I'm closed. So
You're dedicated.
I will double back in
I
a
love
second
it.
for someone.
Obviously, we touched a little bit on advice, giving some advice. We've talked about rotating that humidor every, you know, at least once a month, every 10% of that humidor. We talked about doubling down the time it takes to actually build out a store.
Mm.
Other than those things, what is the one piece of advice you would give somebody that says, I want to open up my own cigar lounge?
Get a part-time job at another store at some point.
Before you do it?
Before you do it. If you're thinking about opening up, I mean, everybody who smoked a cigar has thought, okay, how cool would it be to have my own cigar store? And I'm guilty of that as well.
Right.
I got very close to opening up my own store before I ever got into the industry. I'm glad it floundered. I failed. I couldn't get the money together. There's a lot more to it than just trying to buy cigars and resell them.
Right.
It's relationships. It's a lot about relationships. There's a lot of subtle nuances in selling cigars. You can't just, it's not just because you love them. I mean,
right.
I love bourbon, but I don't think I can sell it.
So what are those things that you learned? Is it how you communicate with the customer? What is it?
It is that as well. It's how to market, how to get rid of slow inventory. Even if it's the whole 80-20 rule, I mean, 20% of your product is 80% of your sales. So you've got to constantly just keep reevaluating. You got to cut that bottom. I wouldn't have known that 25 years ago.
So you're talking about cigars that aren't selling, you just got to cut them.
You got to cut them. It's cash. That's cash flow. That's just money sitting there on the counter. And if I hadn't learned from somebody that was very, experienced in the industry, little putting sampler bags together, I throw a little toy in them. I'm already 2.5 months into it. I've already established some slow moving inventory and we're rotating it out. I'd rather not make any money on it than it just costing me money sitting on the shelf.
Yeah,
that real estate is so valuable.
Yeah, you're paying rent.
Yeah, and that one little spot on my shelf, it's got to perform. If that box isn't performing, it's got to go.
When you talk about marketing, though, what does that mean to you? What are you talking about when you're talking about it? You got to know how to market. What are you marketing?
Well, I'm marketing myself first. I got to before I sell the first cigar to somebody, I've got to sell myself to them.
Sure.
It's more about getting to know me and trusting me. So I'm not going to sell a dog rocket anything I don't believe in on my store.
But once they trust you, then after that, how do you approach the marketing? Are you trying to tell them more about the cigars? Are you trying to tell them more about the story behind the cigars, the blend? What do you focus on? The
story is very important. I'm not one to stand there and say this one's got a San Andreas wrapper and a little bit of binder. But if I tell somebody I smoked this last night and I really enjoy it, I might tell them I smoked it while I had a cup of coffee or something to drink with it, give them ideas on how to pair it up. But when I tell somebody, when I go back and tell somebody I smoked a cigar with Rocky Patel, or I was talking to Omar Fratello, that's a big deal. It legitimizes my position behind the counter or in the humidor.
What about the story? Like you take Fratello, for example, they got that great story about, just the space and, and working for NASA and all of that. Are you telling that in the cigar story, any of that stuff that they put out, or are you more relying on the fact that I've smoked this cigar, I know what you like to smoke, Mr. Customer, I think this would be a good fit for you?
A little bit of both. I've Fratello and specifically, they've got mild, medium, full bodied. So if I want to tell the story of Omar and how he's kind of similar to me, he finally got the guts to quit his day job, but it was at NASA. So that gets people's attention, and it helps legitimize his brand. A lot of people haven't heard of it in my town.
Right.
So I'm introducing it to the market, and it's going really well.
That's
for
awesome.
me and Omar. Yeah,
that's great.
Really good.
So
he's one of the brands you can't find internet discounted. So,
right. And it's okay. So that's a great point. So you're going back to the story. It's both. You want the knowledge of the tobacco, the quality of the tobacco, but then you also want to tell that customer a little bit about either the brand owner or the brand, so that they draw a correlation.
That's right.
And then you just said that he doesn't have discounted product online, and that's important. Why?
Because if I do get a loyal customer smoking his Arlequin day after day after day, that's one I don't have to so much worry about them hitting a few keystrokes and finding it for 25% off.
Got it.
So.
And how does he safeguard that then? How does he make sure it doesn't get discounted?
Well, it would behoove people to keep the price up, I guess, by not selling it to the people who can afford to discount it. Keep it in brick and mortar. We've got bills to pay. We've got leases. We've got to keep lights on. We're not just it's not just a warehouse where we can throw it out for pennies over the dollar. So that's the main thing, is just keeping his distribution clean.
Nice. Well, that's good. So now you're aligning yourself with those brands so that it helps protect your business as well.
That's right.
When they protect their business, it trickles down to protecting your business.
That's exactly it.
I love it.
Yep.
Darrel, congrats.
Thank you so much.
2 months in.
Appreciate you.
We appreciate you being here, and congrats on the opening. You're a legend in this industry. You've been doing retail for a long time. And I can't thank you enough for bringing the people of Georgia some fine cigars.
All right.
Damn fine cigars.
Damn fine cigars.